Now we move on to the structure, right, or the structures of the comparison and contrast essay. How do we write an essay? How do we structure it realistically in our writing? So here, as you know, like any other essay, the comparison and contrast pattern of writing consists of three major parts. We have introduction, body paragraphs or supporting paragraphs, and we have finally the concluding paragraph. Let's start the first one, which is the introductory paragraph. So here, in this introduction of this type of essays, I'm going to what? Provide general or background information generally to my reader, right? And this information or this general information is going to lead to my subjects. I'm going to compare or contrast, right? Example, if you want to contrast or compare two cities, you start speaking generally about, for example, cities in general. Then you introduce, for example, the two cities you tend to compare or contrast or discuss in your essay. Clear? Then you state the purpose for making this comparison or contrast. For example, to show which one is better, to choose which one you want to travel to. For example, to which one you want to join as a college, right? Which one you want to be a friend to, things like that. Clear? So here, after providing general information, then you lead the reader to the two subjects or items you are going to discuss in your essay. Then you show your purpose to him. I mean, the aim from this comparison or contrast. Then we reach the last part, which is the thesis statement. Here, as a writer, your last sentence usually of introduction, which is called the thesis statement, should be clear, right, and direct, and should be complete in terms of the required elements it must include. Number one, it should include clearly the two subjects or your items. Clear, two or more items you tend to compare or contrast. It means two cities, two schools, two persons, and so on. Clear, as your topic. And causal idea in this sentence will be your decision. It means you inform the reader whether you're going to compare them only or contrast them only, or you will show how your items are different and similar. Clear? So here you have to decide clearly in your thesis. For example, two cities are marvelous, but one needs to consider their differences and their similarities to know which one is better. Example. Clear? Right. For example, University of Batna and of Constantine have good reputation, but one, before deciding what to join, he has to, for example, to consider or think about their aspects of difference and aspects of similarity. Example. So here, my thesis statement should be clear in introducing clearly the items, the subjects, right? I need to compare and contrast, and also my intention, right? Whether I will compare or contrast, or compare and contrast. Clear? Right. Also here, you can satisfy with this in your thesis statement, or sometimes you can add the predictor. Clear? You may, for example, add with regard to certain, for example, points or certain features, things like that. Clear, as we said before. Right, but you have to mention your subjects as well as your decision and purpose, whether to compare or contrast or both. Right, good. Now, the body of this type of essay differs. Clear. And when it differs, It gives us different structures or different styles within the comparison and contrast writing or pattern of writing. That's why this type of essays has two major structures. Clear? Right. Which are, number one, the block structure or block organization, clear, or style, and we have point by point style or structure. Clear? Now, here I have two major styles, structures, but in the block structure also I have two styles. The commonest one is when you start with your, here it's called the basic block structure. I write normally my introduction, then I devote in the body a block, the first block, to discuss only similarities between my subjects. Clear? For example, I compare city A and city B, Annaba and Batna. I will speak only about similarities that combine both Batna and Annaba. Then I will add a transition, whether a sentence in this block or short paragraph, and I will speak in the next block, clear, about only differences between the two or my items. Clear? So, in the first block, I compare, then transition, then second block, I contrast. Clear? I contrast the two items I am tackling here. Clear? But bear in mind that a block may consist of more than one paragraph. It means it can be one paragraph in the body, or one paragraph about all similarities between them. Then, second paragraph, also a block about all differences. Or you may develop similarities in one block, but in two paragraphs. And also differences in one block, which consists of two or more paragraphs. It depends here on what you want to focus on. Clear? In every paragraph. But usually, right, we devote one block for similarities, then second block for differences, or vice versa. Also to start first with block number one for differences and block number two for similarities. You are free as a writer. At the end, of course, I conclude. Clear? This is a basic block style. Right. Now, we have also another style. Block style number two. In this style, I'm going to what? In the first body block, I'm going to describe only subject one completely. Describe Batna completely. City of Batna, complete example. Right. Completely. Then I make a transition. Then I will describe second city, which is Annaba, also completely, but comparing it, alright, with regard to the first city, first item. Clear? So, block number one, whether paragraph or more, about item or subject number one only, describe it completely, and the block number two, about subject number two, second person or second city, also describe it completely, but I always compare and contrast it to the first one. Clear? Then I conclude. Now, second major style or structure is called point by point style. So here, when I have two or more items, I need to always think about what? The points of comparison or contrast. The points I need, things I need to consider and I need to depend on, to rely on in my comparison as well as in my contrast. Clear? So here, for example, I start with my introduction, then I will devote first body paragraph to discuss point one. It means here, every point should be discussed in subparagraph. In a separate paragraph. So, first paragraph will be about topic, point number 1. Example, it is about location of 2 cities. Then I introduce this point, location, in my 2 sentences. Then I compare and contrast 2 cities with regard to this point. Then, second paragraph will be about point number 2. I will introduce second point, which is population. Then I will compare and contrast the 2 subjects, cities for example, with regard to this note or point of population. Then I have come up with a third point in the third subparagraph. Clear? Here also I'm going to introduce first my third point, which is climate. Then I will compare and contrast, show similarities and differences of 2 cities with regard to this point of climate. Clear? So here, whenever I want to discuss a point in which I compare and contrast my subjects, I need to devote a separate paragraph for every point, new point. Clear? Finally, of course, I conclude. I conclude here by, as usual, restating this statement and express it differently. Then also I try to summarize my main points, clear, briefly of course, of comparison, or aspects of difference and also similarity briefly, and at the end I try to come up with a comment or draw conclusion to, you can say, decide my purpose also. That this one is better, this one is not, is good, this one is clear, better to join, to things like that. Right. Good. So these are mainly the 2 major styles. Clear, we have block style or structure, and we have point by point style or structure. Now within block style we have a basic block style number 1, as we said before, 1 only for similarities, block number 1. The second for difference or vice versa. And second block style is called also subject by subject style. Here I describe and explain, right, completely subject 1, then I move on after, of course, a transition, clear, within my first block, clear, or as a short paragraph. Then I move on to the next block where I explain and to completely my second subject, clear, of course, trying to compare it and contrast it to the first point, clear, or the first subject, sorry, the first subject. That's why it's called subject by subject style. Clear? Go. Time for practice. Now, as usual, I'm going to introduce some model paragraphs for this comparison and contrast pattern of writing or type of essays. Right, I'm going to choose here 2 main essays which are based on this structure or pattern of writing. One is written according to the block style, and another is based on the point by point comparison and contrast pattern of writing. Clear? So here I have an essay about 2 colleges. Right, 2 colleges or universities. This writer wants to choose one of them. That's why he compares and contrasts them to see which one is better. His purpose is to know which one of them is better for him to join. Clear? Let's start. Okay. Last week is introduction. This first one is based on the block. Clear? Basic structure. Block basic structure. Clear? Block basic structure. It means one block for similarities and second for differences directly. Good. Last week, when I received the acceptances from my top 2 choices for college, State and Greenwell, 2 colleges, clear. I knew I had a difficult decision to make. Although I had talked to friends and relatives who had attended both schools and had visited both campuses many times, I couldn't make up my mind. It was only after I analyzed the similarities and differences between the 2 schools that I finally came to my decision to begin classes at Greenwell in the fall. Clear? So here is the last sentence, represents this statement. He said, it was only after I analyzed the similarities and differences. He will mention them both now. He will compare and contrast. Clearly. This is one control idea, and the subject is between the two schools. Subject that I finally came to my decision to begin classes at Greenwell in the fall. Now, first paragraph. At first glance, it seems that State and Greenwell have a lot in common. Lot similar. So he will start the first block by explaining and showing similarities between the two colleges or schools. Clear? In common. First of all, both universities are located in Pennsylvania, where I am from. Question? The tuition is also exactly the same at both schools, $20,000 per year. In addition, the basketball team at State is just as good as the one at Greenwell, and I would love to play for either one. Most importantly, both schools have large libraries, excellent academic reputations, and first-class engineering departments. You see here, he used different transitions of similarity. Both, don't know. Schools have similarities, common. All this to show that these are similarities. He is raising, and he is when he is comparing and showing similarities between the two schools. Now, it was when I looked. Here we have a second body paragraph or second block about differences. It was when I looked at the differences between the two schools that I made my final decision. This one is as a transition sentence. Clear? In terms of location, State is more attractive. Its setting in a safe suburb was definitely more appealing than Greenwell's location in a dangerous city neighborhood. I always liked State's older campus with its beautiful buildings and trees more than Greenwell's new campus, which looks like an office complex. But I realized that these should not be the most important factors in my decision. I had to pay a lot of attention to the Greenwell offered me, lot of attention to the financial components. Although the tuition is the same at both schools, Greenwell offered me $3,000 scholarship, whereas State couldn't give me save money on room and board. Since Greenwell is much closer to home, I won't have to spend as much on transportation to and from school. The most important factor in making my decision was the difference in class size to the two universities. State has long classes and an impersonal feeling. On the other hand, here, Greenwell has small classes and students get a lot of personal attention. Clear? So here, express the difference between the two schools. He used also many transitions, like on the other hand, whereas, and so on, to show differences between the two universities. At the end, he summarized, by saying, in conclusion, after taking everything into consideration, I think I made the right decision, since small classes, personal attention from my professors, and saving money are all very important to me. I will probably be happier at Greenwell. Clear? At Greenwell. So here, first block, as you see, is for similarities. That's why topic sentence include the word what? Have in common, lot in common. Clear? First block starts with topic sentence which shows similarities, have in common. The second block start topic sentence, which indicates differences between the two. Clear? Right. Then second structure, which is point by point, always using the same topic and the same subjects, always about State University and Greenwell University. Look here. Last week introduction. When I received acceptances from my top 2 choices for college, State and Greenwell, I knew I had difficult decision to make. Although I had talked to friends and relatives who had attended both schools and had visited both campuses many times, I couldn't make up my mind. It was only after I compared the location, cost, and quality of education of the 2 schools that I could finally come to my decision to attend Greenwell. Clear? So here, as you see, he mentioned the points. In his statements, he mentioned the points of, he will depend on in his, comparison and contrast. Clear? And contrast between the 2 schools. Right. First paragraph is about the first point. So, the first thing I considered was the location. First of all, both universities are located in Pennsylvania, where I am from. But that is where similarities end. State setting in a safe, state is setting in a safe suburb is defined definitely more appealing than Greenwell's location in a dangerous city neighborhood. I also like State's older campus with its beautiful buildings and gardens, and more than Greenwell's new campus, which looks like an office complex. So the first point here is location. He compared and contrasted the 2 universities with regard to their location. Clear? Number 2, paragraph. In addition to location, I had to pay a lot of attention to the financial component. It means he speaks about the fees, financial requirements of the 2 cities as second point. The tuition is the same as both schools, 20,000 per year. However, Greenwell offered me a 3,000 scholarship, but State couldn't give me any money. Also, if I go to Greenwell, I can live at home and save money on room and board. Finally, since Greenwell is much closer to home, I won't have to spend as much on transportation to and from school. Now, third point will be the quality of education at the 2 schools had the most influence on my decision. So you see, each time, every topic sentence at the beginning of every paragraph and the body introduces this point. The point as topic sentence. Clear? Number 3, the quality of education at the 2 schools had the most influence on my decision. In many ways, State and Greenwell have similar standards of education. Both schools have large libraries and excellent academic reputation. Also, State has a first-class engineering department, and so does Greenwell. So I had to look at other things. Now, differences. What it came down to was the difference in class size between the 2 universities. State has large classes and an impersonal feeling. On the other hand, Greenwell has small classes and students get a lot of personal attention. Clear? Good. Now, conclusion. In conclusion, after taking everything into consideration, I think I made the right decision, since small classes, saving money, and personal attention from my professors are very important to me. I'll probably be happier at Greenwell. So these are the 2 model essays. One is based on block basic style, and the other on point by point style. Enjoy reading them together with the other essays. So thank you so much, take care, and good luck.